What's going on, Motorsports fans? This is Jared.
Man, can I get a countdown or something, man?
Nope. This is Jared here with the Bearded Garagistas. Always with me is my brother Brett.
How you doing?
And today we are in, as you can see, an amazing facility. And we're accompanied by John Zuccarelli. This is his small collection. He's been embedded in SCCA, been racing since he's 18, and we're going to get to know a little about him right after we hear from our sponsors.
HA Only, your one-stop shop for Honda and Acura news, racing, and shows. Check out haonly.com. King Buddha CBD, high-performance hemp, providing high-quality THC-free products. Find more information at kingbuddhacbd.com. The International Roll Racing Association. The International Roll Racing Association, IRRA, is the first ever sanctioning body for the sport of roll racing. Become a professional race driver at raceirra.com.
All right, so let's start with how you got... What, again? I get you again?
I looked away.
I got you twice now. We're going to start with how John got into racing. So you said you started at 18.
I started going to dirt tracks and asphalt tracks up in New Jersey and New York, and probably when I was 12 years old, getting snuck into the pits with a blanket and a bunch of tires on top of me.
Really?
And so I've been around, dirt track and asphalt, and I just grew up with it. My favorite story is, gee, how the hell did you get involved in racing? Is that my mom and dad's second date? Okay.
All right.
My dad was racing at Flemington Speedway in Flemington, New Jersey, on a dirt track.
Really?
Yes.
That's the way to go. You're gonna impress a woman like that.
That's it. So, my parents were always car people. They always enjoyed racing. They would not ever. Well, I can't say ever, but my mom would not go watch me race. My dad, one time we were racing at a big IMSA race. I think it was an IMSA race at Pocono.
Okay.
And it was one of those weekends where nothing went wrong. Everything was perfect.
Love those.
I get like a half a lap lead, and I pull into the victory lane, and the trophy girl and the camera, and
yeah.
So I look out of the corner of my eye, and I swore I see my father coming up behind me. What the hell's he doing here, right? Mm-hmm. And I look again. It was him and a couple of his buddies that they had been in the stands for the race.
Okay.
And just bulldozed their way by the security guard.
Wow.
And ended up in victory lane with me, which was, if there was any race that he really, really needed to be at, that was the one.
Oh, sure.
That was the one.
That's crazy.
So that's how long back this stuff goes, and it was all my mom and dad. It was all good stuff.
That's a good way to get into racing. When you said your mother didn't watch you too much, but your father went.
He went once. They were both afraid of me getting hurt because my dad would ask, we'd be leaving for a weekend, going to a particular race or not, and he still thought that we used rope for seatbelts because back when he was racing, they were using rope for seatbelts. This is not that. They got it all covered now. I mean, there's roll cage, there's belts and belts and belts.
There's belts on belts.
Yeah. So
wow.
So yeah, they were a little concerned.
Any professional racing, or was it all
back in the 70s when I started racing? I went to driver's school at Watkins Glen in 1973, actually with this car, and
we'll show you after for sure.
At Watkins Glen in October, and it snowed.
Really?
It was so freaking cold. I remember having a down jacket on in the car. So anyway, that was my first driver's school to go to, and let's see, that was 73. By the end of 74, I decided to go IMSA racing, and we did as many IMSA races as we could. My first was the Paul Revere 250 at Daytona, and I had to borrow a pickup truck to tow the car down.
Right.
And had two young guys that, heck, they probably weren't 15 years old. That was my crew. And we still did it, and I was still there, and going down. They didn't have, as you guys may know, in the back straightaway at Daytona now for the road road race.
Chicane.
They got the chicane. Well, back when I was racing there,
No chicane.
no chicane. So you were flat
Oh,
out
my
from
God.
NASCAR turn 1
Wow.
all the way going back into the infield.
Yeah.
Past the pit lane, and so I'm sitting in the car, and I'm holding on, and I mean I'm holding on. And I look in my mirror, and somebody's coming up really, really fast behind me,
All right.
and we had the car geared for over 200 miles an hour, our car. And
What were you
looking-
driving?
It was a Camaro.
Okay.
Camaro with about 650 horsepower.
All right.
So, which actually was an IRRA car too.
Okay.
So anyway, look in the mirror, coming up fast.
Right.
Pulls up right next to me, just lifts for a second. This ball of fire comes blowing out of the exhaust from the turbo.
Right.
Holy crap.
Stands on the gas, and away it goes. It dawns on me about 2 laps later that it was Peter Gregg in the Porsche 935.
Really?
That had like a top speed of like 240 or
Oh,
something.
my God.
It was
crap.
so quick. And it's me out there with Peter Gregg. Holy shit.
Yeah, like a fame moment.
Oh my
inside.
God, this is so cool. So anyway, that was a pretty big deal, and just being at Daytona. I mean, I swear to God, I get chills just thinking about
Sure.
going through the old tunnel entrance that was across from what kind of hotel it was, but it was run on International Drive.
Okay.
And there used to be a pizza joint across the street and stuff. But anyway, and that was the only way to get in.
Right.
And going through the tunnel and coming out the other side, freaking chills.
Yeah.
It's freaking Daytona. Oh my God.
I mean,
You know?
I wasn't even racing Daytona,
Oh.
and I went a couple of weeks ago, and I took the tour. We were the first
Right.
tour since
Oh,
they
since-
shut it down from the COVID.
Right.
And they take you on the track, and
Yep.
they take you around the banking, and my wife said that my jaw was on the ground.
Oh,
She's surprised I still have a beard.
It's just unbelievable. I guess the first time I was at Daytona was, I think I was about 12 years old, and my uncle took me to a NASCAR race.
Okay.
And David Pearson won. Okay. And that was
Must have made a little impression
That was a
on you.
long time ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
How long did you race for?
I raced for real from for real. And that was actually when you got a check. It might not be a real big check, but you got a check.
Right.
And the 70s till the early 80s. My last race I did was at Gateway International Raceway in St. Louis.
Okay.
And I was running a Firestone Firehawk Mustang. And I had started a business, and I couldn't leave anymore to, leave on a Wednesday to
Race all, drive, and race the weekend.
race the weekend, test the car, all that kind of stuff. So I guess it was 81 or 82.
The organization you stayed with IMSA when you were racing? Or
That was IMSA, yeah.
Okay.
That was IMSA. And, and some SCCA stuff too.
Sure.
But anyway, 81, 82, that was it. I worked.
Why? Just for work reasons? If you could have
I
kept
had a
racing?
conversation one day with Roger Penske because I was really lucky that because of
nonchalant.
my
Yeah, okay.
relationship with my buddy Jay Signori and his wife Barbara,
Okay.
who ran IRRA, and
All right.
Jay Signori used to race with Mark Donahue, so that whole Penske connection was there. So anyway, I'm at Nazareth Speedway at the IRRA race, helping Jay do stuff,
Right.
and Roger said, "Gee, how you doing racing?" And I said, "I'm doing good. I was out in California last week or 2 weeks ago, and the car was just okay, but I got it into the top 15, which was really big."
Yeah.
And he says, "Well, did you make any money?" I said, "Well, they paid me $500 in cash. They paid my airline ticket. They fed me really good. It wasn't a crappy hotel." I said, I was like,
You're
cloud
happy.
nine. This is.
Yeah.
He said, "John, you got to go take all that energy and."
Get into the money side of things.
Yeah, he said, because your chances of racing for me, and it's not because you can't drive, I've seen you drive.
Yeah.
It's because you need a $2 to $4 million sponsor just to walk in the door to
Back
say
then.
hello. Yes.
And now it's
Now it's what the Joey Labonte's, Joey Labonte, Joey
Logano.
Logano. Dad wrote a big check to Joe Gibbs.
I'm sure.
Yeah, big check.
And it's not just in over here. It's overseas too.
There's so many. That Lawrence Stroll, who
Yep.
now owns the F1 deal.
Yep.
Anyway, he was a guy that used to come out here to Moroso and run the Ferrari Challenge car,
Okay.
with his with his collection. And my buddy Wayne, who used to help me with this car, takes care of all his Ferraris. So he put the kid in a go-kart at like 7 years old, and
Wow.
That's unreal.
and Lance is a good driver, but
Yeah.
it's tough.
It's money.
Yeah, I mean, well, you got.
It's almost like racing is such a huge spectator sport because everybody wants to be in that car. You know what I mean? So they end up watching.
I mean,
Yeah.
you can envision yourself. You drive a car. Listen, how often are you in the car? How often is a person in the car? You're in the car every day. You get in the car, you go to work. You drop your kids off. You pick them up. You go to the shopping. So you're always in a car. So it's easily relatable. You look at something like football or soccer or anything like that. How many times as an adult go ahead and put a soccer ball on the ground and kick it around? Never. So it's not something you can really relate to. Driving a car, you can relate to that. And then you put the speed on top of it, and it's like a drug almost. So I mean, I get it. I get the financial backing and things like that, but it is what it is. What led you to SCCA?
Back in the early 70s and late 60s and stuff, either there were people that were racing in SCCA back then, or back then, if you go road racing, SCCA was pretty much the only game in town. And if you had an SCCA racing license, you were pretty much good to go anywhere with any other organization. So that was the premier license to have. I still think it is, especially if I was the instructor, of course. But
Yeah.
But I just got involved. I had a friend of mine. This is all good stuff. Back when I got my when I became a member of SCCA, you had to have a sponsor. Actually, you had to have two sponsors, if I'm not mistaken, to bring you to the meeting.
Really?
To see if they would let you into the club.
Wow.
Honest to God, it was like joining some like really exclusive country club or something. So, I mean, it was so bad. I remember that I went to the meeting with my buddy Speedy Bob, who was the Lotus dealer in Lambertville, New Jersey.
Okay.
So Speedy Bob takes me to the meeting, and girlfriend at the time goes with me, and Speedy Bob says, when I introduce you guys, I'm going to introduce her as your fiance, because we don't want them, we got to do everything right here.
Yeah.
That's how bad it was.
That's
how bad it was.
Wow.
Yeah.
You had to put on almost
Yeah.
a front to impress.
Oh yeah.
That's amazing.
So, and all you needed back then was one person in that particular region. Okay, this was, I belonged to the South Jersey region of SCCA back when I lived in New Jersey. All you had to do was one person. Done.
Really?
Done.
It's kind of like those Moose Lodge clubs.
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much.
That's amazing.
So anyway, I joined, became a member, and I had been going to some of the races, and I wasn't a member yet, but I still had been going to some of the races with the local guys that I knew, and put the TVR together, and got it ready to go to driver school, and went to two driver schools. One, it was at Thompson, Connecticut, Thompson Speedway, and the other one was at Watkins Glen. And they handed me my license, man. It was the biggest day of my life.
Right.
Except for my family and stuff. Biggest day of my life. And it sounds like BS, but I get to do what now?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Do you think that American racing has been hurt, that there's not one governing body? Like in Europe, almost everything is under the FIA.
Yeah.
Is it a pro? Is it a con for us to have it fractured so much?
On road racing, on the road racing end, I mean, because ultimately all the racing clubs are under ACUS or FIA, and I just see that the road racers, the SCCA, the core SCCA racers, they just got older, and I don't want to sound like this is an issue, but young guys,
Yeah.
or the sim, and
It's cheaper.
we can't get them out to the track, and we try. I promise you guys I would tell you about the different programs that are going on, but we're trying real hard, and we're getting some really good results, and it's getting better. It's just that, before we started up, I mean, you would go to an SCCA national event in the 70s, and the stands would be full. The grounds would be full. There would be people at every fence, and I don't know what happened. I don't know where they went. I was out of racing from '82 until I moved to Florida in '93 or '94, and how I got back in. I mean, I took a ride out to Moroso or PBIR, and for a race weekend, and in 5 minutes, everybody that I had raced with or knew, or the stewards or the registrar people, everybody ends up in Florida. We're all here, That's just the way it is.
I hear you.
And I actually went to a Skip Barber school.
Yeah.
Because I didn't want to embarrass myself and get in a car where I knew people.
You've been out of the car for 10 years at that point.
I get in the car, and my instructors that weekend were Walt Bourne, who lived up the road from me, who was a IMSA championship winner, and a guy who just passed away, Peter, put brain here, ARCA singer, and Peter's dad was the guy who formed the Watkins Glen Grand Prix through the streets.
Okay.
And so Peter just passed away, but he looked at me and he said, "What are you doing here?" Because I used to race with these guys. I said, "Man, I was scared to death to see if I could get in a car and still go fast." He said, "All right, we'll get in the car." and again, they're not supposed to put clocks on there or anything. I did 3 laps, 4 laps, came in.
You got it.
I think we can sign your license. So that was pretty good, and I picked up right where I left off. I bought Atlanta car, and
That's the one you got?
This is one I got, and been racing Formula Atlanta cars and Daytona prototypes, and this and that, and whatever I can get in and still drive.
What's your preference, closed wheel or open wheel?
Open wheel. Open wheel, yeah. Closed wheels are either too claustrophobic rather.
Okay.
Claustrophobic, and it's easy unless it's raining. And now that I've gotten older, if it rains, it goes right back into the trailer. It's just none of that rain stuff.
It's not worth it.
It's not worth it.
You still take it out.
Yeah.
You still take the cars out?
Oh yeah, there's a race at PBIR in the middle of August, so I'll be out there. I raced the last race at PBIR in March. We did that one. We were going to go to the track in Savannah, Roebling Road, which is my favorite because it's real fast. And we decided that since Alan is not a young guy anymore, and either am I, that probably that list of people who are vulnerable for the COVID, yeah, we're probably closer to the top than the bottom. So, and it wasn't, I wasn't worrying about the track because I coached a guy at Sebring not too long ago, and everybody was good. They had their masks on. Everybody was cool.
Right.
All I kept hearing is, "John Zuccarelli, please put your mask back on." I said, "I just got out of the car." It just busted them on me, So anyway, it's been fun. I jumped right back in. I got back involved with SCCA on the local region, which is the Florida region of the Sports Car Club of America.
Okay.
Of which another hat.
Right.
Which I am the they call it the regional executive, and it's kind of like the chairman of the board.
Okay.
We have a board of directors with 7 people, and we pretty much run the Florida region, and we put the events on, and et cetera, and we are within the Southeast Division, so we go to the division conventions, and we make the rules and change this and change that up, and things like that.
That's amazing. I didn't think it was that intricate.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of like the regions run their own show. That we have a big rule book, and we just use the rules, but we put the events on. So, guys, we have an event in August. Please go on the Florida Region SCCA website.
There you go.
Okay, you guys are definitely invited, and you come hang out with us. And any of your listeners, please come to the track and hang out with us. I mean, most of the guys are there having fun. You can bring your kids. The kids can sit in the cars. I mean, just whatever you want to do.
What kind of cars are they racing out there?
Well, there's 24 different classes.
Oh, really?
Within 6 or 7 groups. So.
Wow.
Yeah. So, you guys.
You see everything.
There's plenty to see. There's plenty to do. I will personally take anyone who wants to go and meet everybody that works within the club, the stewards and the registrar and the race chairman and all that kind of stuff.
Sure.
And get your ride with Rennie in the pace car.
Hell yeah.
Okay. All right.
I love Rennie.
Rennie in the pace car, and but you'll have to probably wake him up. But anyway,
I bet you if you pushed him, he could probably still swing that thing around the track.
Oh no! Rennie still can wheel the car around.
Sure.
Oh yeah. Most of the time when Rennie is the pace car driver for my event, and I tell him, these cars, they don't like to go slow.
Yeah.
So our pace lap is generally pretty quick.
Yeah.
And usually it's Steeta's Mustang that he's driving.
Okay.
He's definitely tossing it around. No, Glenn, he's not hurting the car, though. It's okay. Or Dario, he's not hurting the car. But so please come out. We just don't get the entries that we used to, and we are our competition is a lot of the newer groups that pretty much just took the SCCA rule book and copied everything, but it's not SCCA, and
well, there's a history to SCCA.
I tell people that that drive with one of the other clubs, I said, that's because you can't win in in an SCCA race. You know?
Challenge.
No, I didn't say that, did I? No. But anyway, so it's great. Come out and race with us. It's a lot of fun. You don't have to spend a lot of money, as we were talking about. Our biggest class is the Spec Miata class, and it's based on the older Mazda Miatas. And I mean, they're great cars to drive. They handle. They have great brakes on them, and you just got to keep that foot down. That's all, because they're a momentum car, and you slow up a little bit, the whole field goes right by you.
Yeah.
How
How would Joe Schmo off the street go ahead and get, obviously you buy a Spec Miata race car.
Yeah.
But how would they? What are the process of going in? They have to get a license, I assume.
Yes. If you have any of your listeners who want to know more about SCCA and going racing, or just coming out and hanging out and learning about what SCCA is all about, it's very, very simple. All you got to do is call me, Johnny Z, 561-262-3321. And if you guys can post it someplace, that'd be great. And I will walk them through everything that they need to do, how they get a license. It's not hard. I was lucky that when I joined, that I had somebody to hold my hand and to introduce me to everybody.
Right.
And down here, it's even better because the people up there were a little stiff,
Yeah.
That was those South Jersey people.
Yeah.
But anyway, please call. You're not imposing. It don't matter what time. Work takes a back seat to racing.
Hey.
And anybody involved with racing or anybody who wants to get involved, swear to God, man,
I've seen a lot of thank yous to you online. Like there's a lot of racers out there. that are thanking
I try
you.
really hard because I want, and this sounds like total BS for you guys to record. I want everybody to get that same feeling that I had the first time I went on the track, or the first time I showed up at an event or at a race.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I still get goosebumps. It was the biggest flipping day of my life.
Right.
I want other people to know it, and I want you guys to come out and feel it.
I'm 100% about it.
We'll be there.
I hope the wife doesn't listen to this episode because he's convincing me to try to get my license.
You want to at least get your license to start. That's easy. Johnny Z will take care of you. Don't worry about it.
We're going to have to talk after this. Now, You're wearing an SCCA Foundation shirt.
Yes.
Is the SCCA Foundation different than SCCA? What does that do? What do you do for
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. I am the chairman of the board of the SCCA Foundation, which takes and encompasses the whole country and all the regions. And what our primary, and I'm going to go right through the program so I don't forget any of the good programs here. So guys, I'm sorry. I got to blow it up on my iPad. All right. And since I can't see out of my right eye because I need a cataract operation.
Oh, man.
Okay.
You don't need both eyes to drive a race car, though. As long as you got one, you're good.
This is 2020.
Really?
Yeah. So
That's good enough. It makes up for the both of them.
Just shut one eye, yeah? I'm good to go. I was supposed to go last week to get a cataract done.
Yeah.
And just didn't make it.
No, it happens.
Didn't make it.
Racing came up.
Actually, the guy who's doing the cataract, one of my best friends, Dr. Bentz, Dr. Bob Bentz. We put him in the black Formula Ford that you guys saw over there.
Yeah.
He went to driver's school in that at Roebling Road, and I told him, stand on the gas till you see this, stand on the gas till you see that. He was like a half a second off the track record.
Really?
In the driving school.
Wow.
He did so good.
That's impressive. Good job, Doc.
Dr. Bentz is the man. Yeah. Okay. All right. One of the biggest things that the SCCA Foundation raises money for is the Teen Street Survival. Okay, it is also backed by Tire Rack and by Haggerty's.
Okay.
Okay, and by Coney, and we put on all over the country teen driving events, and it's kind of a safety thing. And unless I'm there, and then we really get them going quick. No, I didn't say that. And it's more, brake hard in a straight line from 60 miles an hour, brake hard with an obstacle, skid pad, all kinds of good
Gives
stuff.
them a feeling of what it's going to be like to be in
what the car is going to do.
Chaotic situation.
My favorite is just to make the students feel, oversteer and understeer.
Okay.
Let them know what's going to happen when the rear end starts stepping out. And we've had people call, people whose kids have been in the program who have called SCCA National Office, the foundation, myself, and said, my daughter was coming home and, there was it was wet, blah, 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 and she didn't give up on the wheel and just saved it. Done. This is you never ever give up on the steering wheel. Okay, you never
We've both
ever
been in this situation.
Oh yeah.
So we teach the kids all of that. Here in Florida, at the Florida region, one of the guys who is the chief of the program here is a guy by the name of Bob Sharp, whose son Scott Sharp was an IndyCar driver.
Yeah, I was going to say,
Bob was
name sounds familiar.
numerous time SCCA national champion.
Yeah.
Wow.
So he comes out. The other person is our treasurer for the SCCA Florida region, Wade Kirschbaum, better known as Wader. And Wader, don't forget the water the next time we have an event. One freaking job we give you, right? And you forget the freaking water. No, he's a good guy. And between Bob and Wade, we're looking forward to try to put on one of these events every quarter
that'd be great.
For Florida at PBIR or at Homestead.
Okay.
So I just I don't want to miss anything.
No, take your time.
The next big one is
I actually had the Tire Rack Street Survival thing written down here. That was one of my notes, so I'm glad you brought it up.
The next is, which is a really big part of the foundation and what it supports, is the SCC8 Archives. Because you got to remember, SCCA goes back to the 40s.
Yeah.
And right when I got a call, when I just became the chairman of the foundation, a guy by the name of John Walsh, who lives up by Watkins Glen, called and said there are 2 or 3 or 4 48-foot trailers full of SCCA foundation material.
Wow.
Holy crap.
So they had been working on it. The foundation had been working on it before I became the chairman, and it got moved from Indianapolis, all the archives, to Watkins Glen.
Awesome.
Okay, the research center that's up at Watkins Glen has we have a contract with. And that's and I'm sorry, it's brain fade on this stuff.
Take it easy.
We have a contract with the research center, which is based right in Watkins Glen, and they have gone through all. I don't think they're done yet, but pretty close. They've gone through all of the files, all of the memorabilia, all of the old 1950s. Magazines from SCCA, and everything is boxed up and in binders or in boxes.
Does SCCA have a museum?
The idea is our museum is going to be there in Watkins Glen with the research center.
Awesome.
Okay, and we have a contract. They have had all of the archives up in a warehouse that was donated, and there's been 4 volunteers working to categorize everything, and to,
Wow.
we also have hired a archivist, I think that's how you say it, archivist, and Jenny, I remembered your name, Jenny, okay? And it's unbelievable, the stuff that they found.
Right.
So,
That's amazing.
last July, because we have our meeting up there, the foundation, and we go to the warehouse to see how far along that they've come.
Sure.
And I'm talking to the volunteers, and I mean everything's boxed up neat. I'm
Labeled,
still
ready to go.
I'm still digging through boxes that I hadn't looked in yet,
Right.
finding cool stuff.
Yeah.
How about race results from 1940 something?
Wow.
You know, I mean, it's just so.
You just
cool.
found a car that you had from 12 years ago.
Yeah, I know. Well, I know. So anyway, I'm BSing with the one of the volunteers, and he says, "I'll be right back." Okay, so I start BSing with the guy next to me.
Yeah.
He comes back, hands me a file. I mean, he wasn't going like 3 minutes. Hands me a file. Okay, I open the file up, and there's my original license application
Wow.
for SCCA. Okay,
What?
my hair's down to here, of course. Okay, the hair that I had, and every race that I had entered, you know, through the 70s,
Sure.
was all there in the file.
Wow.
It was so cool. So we have everybody's stuff in a
so
file,
awesome.
someplace in
Ready to go into
outside.
the museum.
Actually, we weren't in Watkins Glen. We were in Horseheads.
Okay.
Horseheads, right? And it's pretty cool what we do with the archives. People, they're not really ready, but they're close. With the idea is that, because I used to get, and as well as every region official, we would get phone calls from people. You know, my dad raced in the 50s or the 40s, and you know, I'd love to see something. Right? He's gone now, or you know, he's getting older. He loved the good memory. They would call me. I said, you know, I've only been here 26 years, so that's the best I can do. But all that material is
There.
up in the archives. And if there's any SCCA people listening, watching, don't throw anything out, okay?
Yeah.
Send it to me. I'll take care of it. It'll go into the archives. I have multiple boxes in my living room that all came from people sending them, so that we save all the archives. This is our club. This
Right.
is what's so damn important, and it's the history.
Is there footage along with it, or is it all
Yes,
memorabilia?
we found 8mm stuff, 16mm stuff.
Wow.
It's
I can't wait.
It's just so cool.
I'm excited though. You know, when the museum opens.
No,
I definitely
it's just
wanna
so cool. So anyway, that is a really big item, and we've had members, SCCA members, donate more than $10 to the archives, specifically for the archives, because the way this works is that you can, if you want to donate to SCCA Foundation, you can specify where you want the money to go, to archives
That's cool.
or street survival.
I like that.
Things like that. The other one of the other things that we do, that another organization that we got hooked up with was the. I got to make sure I pronounce. I don't forget the. Okay, the archives is the International Motor Racing Research Center. So, guys, International Motor Racing Research Center in Watkins Glen. Okay, Women on Track. Okay, we also fund the Women on Track program, which is the Wendy Allen Scholarship Program, which recognizes and encourages increased participation in autocross and region leadership positions by women.
That's
I like that.
awesome.
Is would you say that
sorry, guys.
autocross is the next big thing?
Yes and no. I mean, we've been autocrossing since the early 40s.
Right.
And it's come and gone. There's been a big push to to make autocross something else, which I can tell you guys, but let me not forget my last person that we help, and it's the Veterans Motorsports group, okay, which takes a veteran, okay, and depending if there is a chapter of Veterans Motorsports in the area where the track is and stuff, and we get to put the veteran in the track, take him on the track, okay, let him drive on the track, okay, and at one of the track events or one of the autocrosses or one of the solo events, and we fund or help contribute to Veterans Motorsports.
Wow, that's awesome.
It's a pretty good group.
No,
I know you are. Yeah, man, and it's a good group. It's a good group.
That's awesome.
And it's it's mostly guys, that were in the Middle East and that are younger guys and stuff.
It's good to get them started into a hobby, keep them busy.
It's been great, and they love.
Do you guys have is that younger generation? Is that younger generation there to keep not
keep
just
the club
SCCA, not just the SCCA, yes, the SCCA, but also road racing, whether open wheel, closed wheel, whatever, keep racing going?
Yes, and I told you guys I was going to explain some of the new things we did, and you mentioned autocross. Okay,
yeah, I have a list of the stuff.
Autocross is now called Solo. Solo also is time trials, okay? Track events, where you can take your street car out onto the track and drive around.
There's two things that you guys do that I didn't know you do. I didn't know you did rallycross, and I didn't know you did hill climbs.
Yes.
That was something I had no idea.
Yes.
Because when I think of SCCA, I think of the Trans Am series.
Sure.
Because that was obviously at one point was the biggest thing. It's died, it's come back, it's been resurrected 2 or 3 times by now.
The guys are doing a great job now.
And it's back around now again.
Yes.
I don't know. I didn't know that there was so much to the SCCA. Do you guys feel like if you focused on one thing, would you be more successful, or is focusing on everything? Because I see it like this. When we have a podcast that's very it's motorsports, but it's generic. We don't have a niche. We don't talk about just Formula One or just SCCA. We talk about everything. And I feel like that's kind of, the SCCA is almost the same way. If you found one thing to go off of, do you think it would be beneficial, or do you guys want to stay with the wide range of stuff that you do?
It was kind of that way, and I don't know if everybody at SCCA would like me to say that, but it was kind of that way for a number of years. That it was road racing, some motocross, road racing, some motocross. As most of the drivers and so many of the officials were getting on in years, we were starting to lose our competitors, our drivers. So we've been trying so hard to figure out how to bring new people and younger people into the sport.
Right.
So all the programs that I've spoke about and that you've just brought up, they all are and hopefully will bring younger people into the sport.
Formula One kind of changed their image and how to reach out by who's the new owners, Liberty?
Yeah,
something like that.
Yeah.
So what they started focusing on was all the social media activity and YouTube and putting old clips out and reaching out to the youngsters. Is there a plan within SCCA to do that, to get more awareness out on a platform that the youngsters are on?
Yes. They just took the last 2 years, 18 months to 2 years, SCCA, the national office, did to change the software, make it a whole lot easier to do whatever, either renew your license or, get info on something. It's really easy, a lot easier now. That was their last 2-year thing to
main
do.
Product, yeah.
And since that hopefully is over, I think the idea is to, get people who actually know what they're doing,
Right.
and do that. Me, as the regional executive and the guy in charge of the Florida region, I just actually hired someone out of my own pocket, okay, to start doing those things so
Wow.
that people are aware of what we do
Yeah.
and when we do it, and answer the questions, and not 2 or 3 days later.
Right.
Because, again, we are all volunteers, and sometimes, work gets in the way of
Yeah.
your position with SCCA. So hopefully I'm going to have the right person here in the region, making sure everybody knows everything. And,
Right.
and as the SCCA national office, they have a social media deal going on already, and and it works.
Right.
But you're absolutely
Is
right.
that
man.
is that the main way that SCCA and other organizations, clubs are trying to get youngsters out? Like, is there, like, how much do you guys think about how do we get it big again? How do we get those huge crowds to come and watch the events?
Hopefully it was through the programs, the lower programs that we have, other than road racing,
Build
is to
those
get
interests.
and build and build and build. And hopefully, I can only tell you that I have, been in the car with someone, sitting in the right seat, teaching them how to drive the track, okay? And this track, or, any track. And it's funny, about noontime, when we're having lunch, tell me a little bit more about SCCA.
Yeah.
Tell me, what kind of cars are they? You were telling me about spec what?
Yeah.
By noon, by the time they're ready to go, they're done. They
Yeah.
want to sell their new Corvette that they bought, right?
Mhm.
That they
Into
just wanted to
racing.
learn how to drive. And I said, I'm buying a Miata. I
Yeah.
can go racing.
Yeah.
And it's been from here to here on the age, the age
Sure.
group.
I have a
It's all, you got to work it, and you got to work it,
Yeah.
and you got to work it.
I have a question, because I'm curious. You have something like IMSA
Yeah.
that seems to be growing. Their direct competition, I guess, would be WEC overseas. Here, they have their NBC Sports Network contract that they have on television. Sometimes it's easy to watch, sometimes it's not. Is there anything in the works of trying to get something, maybe like a streaming platform on of the races of the day on YouTube, or a streaming platform on any type of maybe a website, or is there a way they could watch it on TV? Is that something? Because I remember back in the Trans Am days, Willie T. Ribs and all that, that was on television. Now you don't see the SEC on television anymore. You don't really see IMSA on real television anymore unless it's something big.
Well, because they just got the contract with,
Right, they fork over there's money going around.
It's up and down, and we had the SCCA at the championship runoffs at I'm trying to remember, where was it last year? Shucks, it made that big of an impression on me. It wasn't at Indianapolis, okay? Okay, because at Indianapolis they had over 1,000 cars, and it's
Wow.
going to be there again next year.
Oh, right.
And they did stream from Indianapolis because I was there.
Okay.
I think they streamed last year, and I want to say Mid-Ohio. It was at Mid-Ohio. And it was good. And they interviewed drivers. They
Sure.
called the race. It was really good. It was on YouTube. It was live. And
Awesome.
a lot of people watched it.
Yeah.
I would love to be able to, even if it was just highlights of Florida region events,
Sure.
I'd love to see stuff like that. Just how much, there's a lot of races that will lose $15,000 or $20,000.
Really?
We can't do that,
Yeah.
We got to be able to have some money left over.
Yeah.
Our big race of the year is in January at Homestead, and that's our big majors race, and that covers us for a couple of the
Smaller ones.
smaller races that don't make any money. I'd love to be able to do stuff like that, and that's that's where I'm heading. Even if I have to
I understand.
Go pick up or go find some sponsors. Okay.
Right.
Or how cool would that be?
Of course.
Right.
You know?
Yep.
It's unreal.
How much has Roger Penske done for racing in America?
He's the guy. He's the captain.
Is there anybody even close?
Not even close. Not in my book. And it's not because I know him. There's nobody. He has done more. How about you buy Indianapolis Motor Speedway, right? And IndyCar, and it doesn't get to open.
Yeah, I know.
And I'm sure he's still writing big checks to make sure that the teams have showed up at the track.
I'll tell you that even though
He's the man.
Even though it didn't open and he had just bought IndyCar, did you watch the IndyCar weekend where all the what was it, Xfinity, the IndyCar series, they were all at the same track at the same time?
Freaking great.
It was a blast, man. Some of the best racing. We did actually
weekend.
an episode on it. Some of the best racing I've seen from the Xfinity series
Great
in a long
stuff.
time.
He's, like I said, plus he is one of the nicest guys you'd ever meet. I have run into him over the years when I hadn't seen him in a long time.
Right.
Never forgotten my name.
Wow.
This is back in the, I want to see that late 70s, early 80s. This is a good Roger Penske story. I get, like I said.
Roger Penske stories are always
Oh, my God. My buddy Jay calls me up. And this is when Roger owned Detroit Diesel Allison.
Okay.
So they were building turbines and stuff like that. So Jay says to me, Roger's getting screwed out of this deal with state of New Jersey.
Okay.
Somebody's, right? So
Yeah.
Detroit's going to lose the deal. I says, well, is he a low bidder? He says, if he isn't, he's close and it's a better product, blah, blah, blah. So anyway, I said, I think I got somebody, because at this time, my uncle was the president of the state senate.
Oh, wow. That's somebody.
So half hour later, everything's done. Everything's done. No, did that actually happen in New Jersey? Oh, no, nothing like that happens in New Jersey. So make a long story short, 10 years later, 9 years later, whatever it was. Remember when he had the super secret Mercedes motors showed up at the Indy 500?
Yeah, they got to use them for 1 year.
Nobody knew anything about them, right?
One race.
So
look up that story.
I'm in the what do you call it? The garage area, but
The pits.
no, the old garage area.
Oh,
with the wooden,
Yeah.
the original stuff, right?
Yeah.
And there's Penske's garage area for this stuff. So, there's cameras going and all kinds of crap going on. I walk in. I'm at the door, right? Roger says, "Hey, it's my buddy John from Trenton."
Jesus.
Wow.
Just unbelievable. So he's the man.
That's
let me
cool.
tell you, he's the man. And then you know why he's so successful. He is just successful in business.
Yeah.
It's the same way. How about he's got 300 people working? 300 people? I'm trying to remember how many people. Or is it 300,000 square feet? 300,000 square feet in North Carolina at the race shop.
Really?
It's the largest tiled floor building in the country.
Amazing.
That's insane.
You don't fool around, man. So anyway,
he's done a lot of fabulous
good stuff,
in the
man,
sport.
yeah.
100%. He's
the
an
man.
impressive guy. If you don't know what that Mercedes engine is he's talking about, they got to use it for one race. They actually kept it so secret. He had a secret team working on it.
His own team didn't know.
Yeah, the own company team didn't know. They used to work on it overnight in the shop, but they used to clean up every drop from it.
Everything.
And then when the shift came in during the day to work the shift, they had no idea that they were working on an engine in there. So that's
that's it. Yeah.
That's impressive.
So,
Did you have any more SCCA questions? Did you want to get any more SCCA stuff before I start asking about these cars?
I think I've run down SCCA, but it's a good group, guys. Please come out and hang with us. I'm sure that
I'll be there.
You can post our next race date at PBIR.
Of course I can.
And let your listeners and viewers know, and let's try to do it.
Sure.
And you guys, like I said, I'll take you all over the track. We'll whatever you want to do is fine.
Bearded-garagistas will be there.
It's a piece of cake.
Circuit racing is a dream of mine. It's been a dream of mine for a long time.
And, drag racing's cool, except it's over too quick. That's all. It's just over too quick.
I like drag racing too, and don't get me wrong, would I love to drag race 100%, but I think everybody has a true preference, and my true preference would be a road course, would be a
it was just tough for us on Long Island. There's not much of anything there. There's no nothing.
There used to be, but they got a lot of windy roads up there, so I think that's maybe it's where you grow up, because the windy roads, kind of relates to kind of more of a circuit course, and that's what I like. So I need to ask.
Yes.
You have a little affliction for TVRs.
Yes.
Why?
Why? I used to hang out in Skip High School, okay, and my buddy Ray Wally, who was the TVR dealer in central New Jersey, and actually in Princeton and then Blouenburg, New Jersey. And I used to go hang in his shop. Plus, he always had good-looking girls walking in and out of the place.
It's a good place to hang out.
He was the first guy in the shop to wear a shop coat.
Okay.
So I thought he was the coolest guy in the whole world, right? Among other things. And he always had cool cars hanging around.
Yeah.
So, by the time I hit 16, I need something picked up in the next town over, and he would throw me the keys to the Lamborghini Miura S. And he says, just don't get caught on the bridge because it's going to overheat, and I don't want to have to come get you.
Oh my God.
I mean, swear to God.
That's unreal.
The cool stuff that he had, and hanging in his shop was like there was no better day.
Right.
So anyway, and then the two guys who worked for him back then, my buddy Tommy Walco, who I still talk to once or twice a week, okay, and he was a bit older than I am, but I still talk to him, and he's still racing. It's all good.
Yeah.
It's all good. So anyway, got involved with the TVRs. I bought. Let's see. When I was in high school, I ended up with a 2500, which was like this yellow one, except it was in red. And I drove it to Florida because I went to University of South Florida in Tampa.
Okay.
I drove it and sold it down there. Okay. And came back to Jersey. And but anyway, it was just all good stuff. So I got to drive everything that he had.
Mm-hmm.
The TVRs were so cool. Let's see. The TVRs with the V8 engines were just point and shoot. They were
They
so
put V8 engines in these things?
Oh yeah. Here. Let's turn around. You see the blue car over there?
Oh yeah, you did.
289.
I remember seeing that. Yeah.
The one that's on the rack that only has 1,200 miles on it. Boss 302.
Whoa!
You did say that. I missed that. I remember it now.
Point and shoot. And
when we first walked in, he gave us a look at all the cars, and I'll let you know that I was so just.
Could we get a quick rundown? Just a quick rundown. We got a 61
Corvette, which we've just restored here in my shop in Florida. It belongs to my brother, who is in Hopewell, New Jersey, and as soon as things get better, that I can drive the truck with the trailer back to New Jersey, I want him to at least get to drive with the top down.
We got
about 6 TVRs.
A bunch of TVRs.
They're all different.
The one with the 2 on it is actually the 1970 Daytona 24-hour factory entry. And guys, you may not realize it, but the 24-hour race and the 12-hour race at Sebring, they used to put Ferrari prototype cars out with MGBs, TVRs with 4-cylinder motors in them, okay? Nobody crashed. It was
amazing.
Cool, okay? This is the prototype. That's the first TVR 2500 that was ever manufactured. And it's, like I said, it's the prototype. It was the 1970 New York Auto Show car.
Okay.
For TVR. That was at the New York Auto Show. The next one won the, there's the TVR North America, what word am I looking here for? Club.
Club.
Okay, that one in, I guess, in the early 2000s, I guess.
Okay.
And Super 7, Lotus Super 7, it's an original 1962 Super 7 that we restored here in the shop. It's a blast to drive. It's like it's like driving a Formula Ford, except the motor's in the front, and it's just tiny little turns on the wheel.
Really?
It's a blast. Except people can't see you when you're next to them in the street. So, but that was a race car. It's streetable now, and it has lights and everything else.
Sure.
And as I said, blue car is a right-hand drive Griffith or TVR, and there was a time when TVR was sending cars to Long Island.
Yeah.
Okay. To a guy by the name of Jack Griffith, who had a Ford dealership.
Okay.
And he started dropping in, since Carroll Shelby could put him in a 289 AC Bristol, right?
Drop them
in TVR. That's one of the original Griffiths. Except they put the motor in this one, and this one's right-hand drive, and this one came from the UK to the US.
That's awesome.
But Jack Griffith was the guy, and then TVR started building their own front engine V8 powered TVRs.
That's awesome.
Let's see what else.
The one right behind you here, this one.
Oh, this is a Swift Formula Atlanta car, which I've had for quite a while. It's, I think, one of the prettiest race cars you'd ever see. It looks like a race car, not like some crazy, thing that you would see on.
No, it looks like the race car I made my dad in wood shop when I was in like 6th grade.
That's
it.
When you think race car,
old
this is what you see.
school looking race car.
Yeah.
It still goes pretty good. I mean, I've gone the track in Savannah. I've gone around there in like a 103.9, something like that, which is really fast. And and the car's 1989. It's old.
Still running.
It's old.
We can't forget your little black car back there.
Let's see. Let me keep turning here.
The 427.
Oh, yeah. Back in the corner is a 427 Cobra. It is one of the cars. Yeah. Well, it's one of the cars that were built after Shelby's cars, and when Autocraft owned AC Cars, and I think it's only one of 4 427s that they built. They did have a run of 302 engine cars that they sold through Lincoln dealerships, I think it was.
Wow.
And but anyway, they're it's a brand new car. It's got 2,000 miles.
Yep.
On it. It's not been hacked up or raced and beat to hell like most of the Shelbys have been.
And these two monsters behind us.
Okay, these two.
How much horsepower, by the way?
We got to remember these are both IRRA cars from the 70s and then from the 90s into the 2000s and early 2000s, and they weren't trying to get a whole lot of horsepower out of the motors. They just wanted to make the cars as even as they could. Okay, so they were around 550 horsepower.
All right.
Changed the carburetor. Makes a real big difference because they had this little tiny carb on it, right?
Really?
Yeah, so they go pretty good now. The blue one, as I was telling you guys before, Jay and Barbara Signori have been my best friends in the whole world since the early 70s when Penske came to Trenton, New Jersey to buy Trenton Speedway.
Right.
And it was a kind of a D-shaped track. It was fast as hell. I mean,
really?
It was really fast. And they had NASCAR there, and they had IndyCar there. And they had New York Modifieds.
Okay.
All right, you guys know what they are.
Riverhead Raceway is still on and popping.
Yep, there you go.
I miss it.
And
I really do.
and those
Me
guys, they definitely went around there quick.
Oh yeah.
So anyway, I've known Jay and Barbara, and since then, and actually and Roger too, and since then, because I would just go hang out, and then we'd go to dinner. Because I knew all the good.
Just hang out.
I knew all the good restaurants in Trenton, right? and we definitely ate Italian a lot.
Yeah, that's a good way to stay on top of things.
So anyway, I needed a motor and a trans, and I called Jay when Penske was still in the in Reading, next to the Hertz Penske big garage,
right?
And so Jay says, "Come on up," and I got a motor, I got a trans. So I get there, and he says, "Bring a big truck." So this car had hit the wall at, oh shucks, I can't remember at this point, but it was Bobby Unser driving, if I'm not mistaken. And anyway, it needed a front clip, but the motor was still there.
That's awesome.
So anyway, Jay sells me the car, the motor, and the trans, and throws in everything else that was left over from that series of cars. And so I had, how many boxes of Hedman headers, for argument's sake, that I had? Right? But anyway, I finally, it sat in a barn in New Jersey, and it was just another old wrecked race car.
Yeah.
Wasn't worth money thing. So finally that's mine, yeah.
That's all right.
Finally, I called Jay and I said, Banjo Matthews, that's the guy who did the chassis. I just remembered, right? I couldn't remember before.
I knew it was going to come back to you eventually.
So I said, Jay, can you call Banjo Matthews to put a front clip on? And he says, yeah, but we got nothing to do, in the winter and off times and stuff like that. Just bring it over and I'll have the guys in the IRRA shop do it, because by that time they were building their own frames and things like that. And just so you guys don't know, Banjo Matthews was the guy who built everyone's chassis in NASCAR. He was the man, okay? He was the man. So
with a name like Banjo Matthews, I mean,
Banjo Matthews, man, he was the guy. So anyway, I bring the car home. Car sits forever, and I finally said, you know what? Let's put this car back together. Haul it to the IRRA shop in Tinton Falls, New Jersey, and 23 years later, I think it was 23 years later, when they were auctioning off all the IRRA stuff, when everything came to an end at IRRA, the week before, actually 2 weeks before, Jay called up and said, the blue car's done.
Wow.
It's kind of like they were like, all right, let's get this one back out there before we.
He says, man, we got to get it out of here before we close the doors.
That's crazy.
So anyway, that was the story. But it's all good stuff, and I have all the original decals that I got from the from IRRA. I have all the decals. We just haven't put them on.
Up yet.
Yeah, I haven't put them on. Same thing with the white car. The white car was a replacement car for the IRRA series back in the 90s and early 2000s. And this particular car, which is a Firebird, has 3 races on it. 2 of the races were driven by Scott Sharp, who ex-IndyCar driver, ex-Patron prototype driver, IMSA driver, okay, and his dad is the one who helps us with this teen street survival, okay,
right.
So, which I had said. So anyway, we're at the auction, and Alan and I are sitting up front, and just supporting my buddy Jay and his wife, and as best we can, and nobody's bidding on this white car. I mean, the Dale Earnhardt car, everybody was busy.
Oh yeah, I'm sure that.
The Mark Martin car, everybody was. It hadn't been wrapped. Okay, they changed the wrap.
So it didn't look pretty, and
It
everybody
didn't look
kind of
pretty and all that
bypassed it.
stuff. So nobody's bidding. So hand goes up. $2,000. Okay, let's get it started. Okay,
Yeah.
At least
That'll get it going.
somebody bids 5, 6, 8. My guy Alan, who you guys have met, right, is kicking me. He said, "What are you going to do with that car?" End of story. Ended up owning the car. It was not as much as the Earnhardt cars went for, or the cars that were driven by, well, the NASCAR guys.
Yeah.
But I also got a brand new motor with it too. But that's another story.
Man, that's a deal.
The pickup I bought at one point to
With those
sell.
ridiculous tires on it.
Yeah, it's tubbed in the back, right? And Alan, the English guy from Dorset, UK, he just fell in love with the truck.
It's
He
gorgeous.
said, "Wait a minute, you're a freaking guy from the UK. What do you know about hot rods?"
Yeah.
He used to work on a top fuel car in
Really?
the UK,
Oh,
right? I didn't know that. So anyway,
they got a couple strips out there.
that's his parts car, and he goes to the car shows and stuff in it.
Oh, man.
But the cool part about this, other than it has air conditioning, okay,
Very important
and a
here.
Firebird Trans Am front end under it, so it actually turns and
Yeah.
stuff. It's got a '57 Chrysler Hemi in it, an original 1957 Chrysler Hemi.
I feel like Alan's like an evil genius
With
racing.
2 4-barrels on it, okay?
Wow.
So anyway, it's pretty crazy.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
SCCA has a very long history. It's been around motor racing for a very long time. If you want to race, there are ways to do that. There are inexpensive ways to do that within SCCA. Go ahead, give John a call if I don't know how you missed the number. We're gonna put it in the description below anyway. But you can reach out to us. We'll get you in touch with them. But let's go racing. Let's keep motorsport alive. Let's keep the SCCA alive and keep it going. They're doing a lot of great things with the kids. I think it's a great way for kids, young kids, to learn those intangible skills that they might not get in a closed parking lot, or I think you do your road course in Florida on a closed parking lot. Yeah. So like when we did it in New York, we do it on the regular street. I don't know what the hell they're thinking down here, but we also
I went
didn't
on the street. Okay.
we also didn't spin a
You
car
know, it was
around.
2 seconds.
And to be able to do that, to learn what the car is going to do under certain stress, really important for a young driver. So you guys are doing a lot of great things.
Well, hopefully you guys can come out to when this whole mess blows away.
Sure.
You guys can come out and film at the Teen Street Survival, and you'll see the smiles on these kids' faces. It
Sure.
just gets bigger and bigger.
Yeah,
It'd be a lot of fun.
I would love to maybe come out there. We'll video it. We'll maybe interview some of the drivers
It'd be great.
and see how it goes. But I'm gonna get lost and go videotape all this stuff. If we got nothing more, we'd love to have you back again. Anybody else that you know want to come on the show that you think would be great for the show, we'd love to have them on. We really appreciate you guys watching. Like, subscribe, keep the channel going, keep sharing it, keep it going out there, and we'll see you guys soon. Peace.
Peace.